Seatbelt on.
Yep. All right.
There we are.
We've got John McCormack, also known as Macka, in the driver's seat today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, and yeah, thanks for coming today, John. Really appreciate it. So last week I met your brother Tim, and he took it for a quick spin, and I said to him, "Do you know any characters around the place, local personalities that might be keen for a drive?" And he mentioned you.
Oh yeah.
He said that you've got some pretty amazing stories, and yeah, so I'm really glad to have you along for a drive today. We're going to get you set up, and then we're going to go for a drive and have a bit of a chat. So
Beauty. Yeah, this is great. Good to meet you and Rob, of course. But I also like cars, and you know, in my lifetime since I started driving, there's been some huge changes. And of course, as we've chatted coming up here, and we're not far from Oatlands in almost central Tasmania, it's been interesting to sort of compare the old 1961, 62 Holden EK that I learned to drive on. I got my licence.
yeah, you mentioned it didn't even have seatbelts.
No seatbelt. You know, that you could almost climb into the engine bay beside the motor. There was plenty of room.
Yeah.
Three-speed gears on the steering column. No synchromesh on first.
Yeah.
Drum brakes all. That is just amazing thinking back, you know, with the memories of that, and now sitting in something like this that no dash,
Yep.
no nothing.
And
just,
it's a supercomputer on wheels, basically. Yeah.
so incredible.
All right, let's
Okay.
get you set. So the button on your right next to the seat, that'll go. There's a flat one. There's two buttons. The
Yep.
flat one will go forward and back,
Yep.
but it'll also go up and down.
Yep.
Same button. So that feels all right.
Yeah.
Steering wheel.
Nice position.
Steering. Oh, just put your foot on the brake for a sec. All right. Steering wheel. You can scroll that up, and you can go left and right to bring it in and out, so you can get that set.
Oh yeah.
Get yourself comfortable there. That's good.
And to the left was out, and to the right.
Yeah, to the right will go in. I think, yeah.
Don't want to go straight, just got to keep the arms bent a little.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we've got your mirrors. So it's the same button, and it's just scrolling up and down and left and right on this button. That's your left side. So if that's...
Oh yeah, that's then up and down. Yep.
And then your right. Yep, same button.
Same
This side,
button.
yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Sorry about that.
I see.
The stereo is pretty wild in this.
What sort of sound system has he put in?
It's a I forget the name of it, but it is quality. Have you got a particular song that you want to try on here?
Oh, I suppose he's got anything there, isn't
Anything. It's Spotify, so you can go anything you want.
For the highway, I love Dire Straits.
Okay.
Yeah, anything.
Dire Straits.
They came to Hobart in 1985, and I was actually on duty in my former work.
Yep.
With the state's premier law enforcement agency, and I went along to that concert. I put my hand up, but I didn't have to because we had a good, numbers there.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, well, because I just mentioned that you were in the Tasmanian Police Force for 40 years. Is that right?
Just nearly,
Nearly
39
40
plus. Yeah. Yeah, that's highway music.
Hear that stereo?
That's right.
Good, huh? They haven't skimped on anything in this car.
Right. That's one of the very important things. I mean, good sound system.
Absolutely.
Good speakers.
We normally play Rage Against. We play a bit of heavy metal rock pump up, but if you're into Dire Straits, then that's also very good. Yeah. And because it's silent when you're driving, you hear a lot more of the music as well, rather than the noise in the car.
I've noticed there's very little wind noise. It's slippery, isn't it?
Yeah.
The shape and
Yeah, it's got a great profile for wind, reducing the wind resistance.
Good.
Aircon, I'll just show you this quickly. So this whole strip is air conditioning, and this is yours here, so you can move the flow of air around like that.
All right, so you press one of those.
You can just press this and move that, and then you can increase it like that, basically.
Good.
Yeah, and then you can split the airflow, move it up and down.
Look at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know we don't have that much time, but I'll show you quickly Netflix and YouTube when you're charging.
And you have to sit in the car and wait.
Yeah, you got to wait like maybe 20 minutes sometimes for a charge if you're going between cities.
Yeah.
And then it's got video games as well. Yeah. This one is a racing game, and you actually use the steering wheel over the game.
Well, that's integration, isn't it? I've never heard it.
Well, why not? You know, the engineers there having a bit of fun. But,
and I'm glad he's given them the freedom to do that, because it's obviously practical as well. The way it works, it's not. Yeah. It's intuitive. It's not complicated.
It's very intuitive. Yeah. So that's about it. And so your indicator is on your left-hand side. So hard down will keep the indicator on, and soft down will be like 3 blinks if you're changing lanes.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a good facility.
Yeah.
So there's the 3 on that one. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And then hard down on your right paddle, and you'll be into drive. So you'll see here, park, reverse, neutral drive.
Felt the brake give some resistance there.
Yep. So now you're in drive.
So there's no such thing as a handbrake?
No.
So what is it used to anchor as a...
If you push that P button on the end of the paddle.
Oh, yeah?
That's park. That's it.
Oh, I see, it's gone automatically up. I saw the P on there. I thought, where do you get to that?
Yep.
And so then you don't even have to touch that button again, just straight down to D.
Straight down to D, yep. That's it.
That is unreal.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
And now if you push the accelerator, we'll start moving.
Oh, look at that. Silent.
You want to do 0 to 100 here?
Why don't we do it here? There's nothing coming.
Just put your foot on the brake.
Feels good. Nothing coming to the rear.
Yep. All right, Macka, when you're ready, you can plant your foot right to the floor.
Count me 3, 2, 1.
All right, all the way to the floor. Yep. 3, 2, 1, go. All the way to the floor, hit it hard. All the way, all the way.
Geez, I can't move, I'm up against the back of the seat. Look, we're doing over 100 already.
Brakes. Oh, you're good, yep. And you feel when you take your foot off, that's your regen braking, so that's...
I was going to ask if it does that.
Yeah.
I've read about that, that's a fabulous thing.
Yeah, just take your foot off now. And now hit it again through this corner.
Yeah, regen, isn't that an incredible facility?
This is a glorious road for driving a Tesla as well.
Oh yeah, this is a ripper. And the one up from Bothwell up to Great Lake is another good one for this. I've always wanted to do that in a Porsche or a WRX.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I'll worry about them now. Funny enough, during that acceleration phase, which really wasn't all that long.
We can do another one here.
I didn't even think of the old EK.
Come to a stop here if you want.
I didn't even think of the old EK.
Yeah. It's completely forgotten about it. That's just a warning if you get close to the line, but you don't need to worry.
Actually, I saw it a couple of times coming up.
Yeah.
It's
nothing.
It's a lovely feel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really good in my peripheral vision. I'm just picking up the speed.
Yep.
You don't really need to see anything else. A fuel gauge is irrelevant, and so is a temperature gauge, oil pressure gauge, all irrelevant.
Yeah. You can keep your focus on the road and on the scenery, really.
Well, that's got to be safer, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He likes his truck, that one.
Yeah. Just passed, what was it, Was it an F truck? Ford F truck?
Yeah. I saw one yesterday, a big F50.
Yeah.
It was huge. And I said to my brother, I said, what do you reckon about those? Being a nautical man, he said, it'd be a great boat anchor.
Yeah, nice.
Now, I don't want to denigrate other people's products, but, that was like a brick.
Yeah.
It certainly wouldn't be as smooth and as slippery going through the air like this. This is just incredible.
Yeah, it's...
And I like the vision too. This is not too far down, so that it affects. I like being able to look out the window and see where we're at.
Yep.
orientation. Spatial awareness feels good, and comfortable, feel supported in the seat, and yet it's not a sort of a wrap-around rally type of seat in the rally cars.
Yeah, it's kind of got just enough.
Very comfortable, yeah.
Now you're welcome. Oh, there is a car behind us, but if you want to back it off a bit, let it slow down.
Yeah. I'll hit it when I see him come over the hill.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to worry him. Look at that, and there's 100 already. It was just no time at all. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought?
Yeah, it's a step change. It's really like a step change from petrol cars, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
You look at to me, just the word is contrast rather than comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point actually.
It's I've referred to the old EK. Well, from there it was an XW Falcon Wagon, but it still had 3 on the tree.
Yeah.
And there were a succession of other sort of Australian type cars that my father had. He went to a British Ford Cortina. My first car was a Chrysler Hunter, based on the Hillman Hunter, but made by Chrysler in South Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the Volvo.
Did Chrysler have a factory in South Australia?
Yeah, Tonsley Park. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, mate, that's where all the Valiants were made.
When did they shut that down?
They went to a Mitsubishi plant.
Oh, right. Yeah.
After that, so they assembled Magnus, and then the 380 was the new one.
Yeah.
So that would have been for the Valiants. It would have been the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Then Mitsubishi for another 10, just over 10, 12 years, I think. Don't quote me on that one because I don't know, but that would have been roughly the time it finished. And then, of course, we've seen the gradual decline and collapse now of the Australian industry per se.
Yeah.
Ford and Holden, and they used to assemble Toyotas down at Dandenong, Victoria.
Yeah.
But they made Tiranas at Acacia Ridge I think that was in Queensland, wasn't it? Acacia Ridge?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's such a shame because if we had better leadership, we could have, invested in developing electric vehicles here, producing electric vehicles here.
Well, I'd love to have seen that because we had some very, very clever engineers in these companies. And interestingly, a Vietnamese company called VinFast employed a lot of them. VinFast is a Vietnamese company started up by a businessman over there. Apparently he's a real character. I've read a bit about him. And he bought Lang Lang Park out on the eastern side of Port Phillip Bay, the GM testing ground.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all based out there doing their research and development for VinFast, who make a couple of very attractive cars. And they're about to move into the electric scene, apparently.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They build smart cars, and a lot of it with, highly experienced and great people from the Australian industry.
Yeah. Well, we've got so much talent here, so much engineering expertise, practical skills. It just needs to be utilised in the industries of the future, or the industries the industries of the present. And other countries are taking advantage of that, and we're not. We could be, So once the adrenaline wears off, when you're getting used to the drive, I'd love to hear a bit more about you and how you came to be in the police force in Tasmania, and you've lived here all your life in the region.
Yeah.
So what got you to get into what led you to get into the police force?
Look, believe it or not, I wanted to fly. And I did the RAAF exams, the entrance exams, and I did okay. But the Vietnam War was winding down, and they weren't taking on any more pilots.
Right.
Now, that era, I could have had a go in a Mirage or an F-111. There were a few teething problems with those, which were somewhat terminal, which is very sad because we lost a few good young fellas in that. There's a couple of crashes. So anyway, I couldn't pursue that path, and so I thought, do I go on with that and try and get into helicopters or the old Caribou, or what do I do? And I sat back and thought for a while. I thought, why not take a local challenge? And I went down to the Burnie police station, and I ran into one of the better people that I could have run into on that day. And it was a senior inspector called Sid Fisher.
Okay.
A great man and a real, but the best person I could have spoken to. He took me into his office, sat me down, asked me all my name and all the details, and he said, I've joined the police because I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to help the community. Sometimes he said that's to protect them from themselves. Other times it's to serve them and to help them to have a better lifestyle or to have a better quality of life themselves. And I thought, as a young 18-year-old, I thought, gee, this is amazing. This bloke doesn't want to go around locking everyone up from left, right and centre, or booking the living daylights out of everybody, including his mother. And I was quite gobsmacked by this bloke.
Yeah.
And
he inspired you?
Oh yeah, he was, because I knew some of the things that he did. He was the sort of bloke that would go and cut a couple of tons of wood for old people in the area.
Yeah.
He'd do that in his own time.
Yeah.
Fascinating bloke.
Wow.
Anyway, he talked about the job and how interesting it was, the variety that was available. What would you like to get into, boy? And I said, well, I've always been fascinated by search and rescue. Get off my tail!
Yeah, you can Macka, feel free to do that as much as you like on the drive home. This is your spaceship for the next half an hour, so...
I just didn't like that. I don't want to put a dent in the back of this.
Yeah.
and ruin the Western Australian number plate.
Yeah. Nice
so then I put an application in, and away we went. I didn't obviously start straight away, and I think it was the long weekend of March 1972 when I applied for and was accepted by Tasmanian Police. So they said, all right, what you need to do at the end of the month, come down and we'll take you through an orientation day.
Yep.
And if you get through that all right, you can we'll swear you in. And so hard mail letters, no email in those days.
Yep.
1972 circa. I was starting to plan the move to go to Hobart.
From Burnie, was it?
From Burnie on the northwest coast through to Hobart on that. But on the way there was a diversion, and some good friends from the northwest coast decided they'd like to do Lake Pedder, walk in there to the old lake and see it before it was flooded. So
this is before you actually started as a police officer?
Before I got sworn in. And so the last weekend of March, which was a long weekend, that's what I did.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, Lake Pedder is where the hydro was built in the early 70s?
Well, it was there was a huge dam built, Lake Gordon, and that's called the what's it called? The Gordon Dam, and it's 143 metres from the base to the top, the highest sort of dam wall, certainly in this state and probably around Australia.
Wow.
Maybe even, compared to some others in the world, it might be on a par or even higher.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a fellow by the name of Phil Harris who runs Aardvark Adventures. Phil's a great bloke, and he takes people out there and they abseil off that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Phil's a real character. You'll see him on Facebook. I'll give him a plug because he's a good bloke.
Maybe we should take him for a drive sometime.
Well, this would be a fabulous thing to drive out to Strathgordon and Lake Pedder.
Yeah, maybe we can tee that up.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Nice.
So I went and had a look at Lake Pedder. Pristine wilderness at its best. Disappointing that they flooded it, but they said they wanted this scheme in to draw water into a big dam situation, so they're going to have plenty of power.
Yeah.
Basslink came in years later. They exported it to the mainland.
Wow. And most of Tassie's power is hydro now, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Solar panels have been introduced here, and they're quite popular.
Yep.
But the saddest part is you're production tariff rate has gone from about, I think, 27 cents a kilowatt when I first got my system in at home, and it's gone down to about 9 or 8 cents.
Oh, really?
It's a terrible shame. It's, the incentive for clean power like that
Yeah,
should be much greater.
absolutely.
Right?
We should be ramping it up now.
Yeah, a natural way to go. I mean, Tasmania, believe it or not, has a lot of sun days, and solar power lends itself really well to this.
Yeah,
I want wave power, something we should see developed here. Just talking about wilderness and about clean energy. We've got these big wind farms around the state now, and I think they're efficient, but because there's a lot of wind. If you go up the west coast, for example, Daniel, you can sit on a certain bench at Trial Harbour, as I've done with a friend,
yeah,
and together we've solved half the problems of the world.
yeah.
We've looked out across the sunset, and one day I took the map out there. It was before the days of GPS on your phone and Google Maps. I took the map out and I said, Terry, mate, I said, there's nothing between us and Argentina. We worked out about 13,000 kilometres.
Really?
So any wind that generates out there has got, a fair way to get himself worked up or herself worked up to hit Tasmania.
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
Wind generation. There's big wind farms on the west coast now.
Are there any plans to build more offshore wind around Tasmania?
I understand there are, and they're onshore ones at this stage, but it's wave power that I reckon we could have a look at down there without sort of polluting the scape, the seascape.
Yeah, I heard recently that those big offshore wind turbines that they've got in Europe, one of those, four of those big ones, the biggest ones that they've got, will provide enough energy to power 20,000 electric vehicles. Right, so the average person does 35 kilometres a day of driving. So based on that, you can power 20,000 EVs with 4 large wind turbines. Isn't that remarkable?
And to think that there's not a skerrick of, coal or
fossil fuel,
or
nothing.
Fossil fuels being used to produce that.
Pure clean energy and silent travel and 0 to 103.3 seconds.
And no harm to the environment with those machines. Sure.
I don't think so. They're mainly in the North Sea, just north of Germany and west of Denmark. But they've got massive wind turbines up there now. I heard that like the rotor blades, the diameter is up to like 180 meters or something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's.
Sorry, they're 180. Sorry, it's 180 meters tall to the top of the blade, and I think the diameter is like 100 meters or something like that.
Yeah, but the blades themselves are, I've seen them 20, 25 metres.
Yeah.
That's probably a small one now.
Yeah, so that'd be a 50 metre.
Development is progressing rapidly. Yeah.
Because with a wind turbine, the energy, if you increase the diameter, you're getting a squared increase in energy from it. Because it's based on surface area. Those big ones. I was up in Macka recently. You could put like 20 large wind turbines off the coast of Macka, and you'd power every vehicle in the city. Yeah, that's all it takes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So you stopped in at Lake Pedder, and then you continued down to Hobart.
Walked in. Then went to Hobart. Got sworn in after the day of orientation, and they asked me a very important question, which helped to shape my career. One big fellow, one of the senior superintendents, he said, "Do you play footy, son?"
Oh yeah. And that's
very important question.
Absolutely, that's Aussie rules down here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I had a training run with the Sandy Bay Seagulls, which is the team that was operating down there, and they folded up some years later. And I had a training run with the Hobart City Tigers, both of whom have produced some fabulous players over many, many years on the local scene. But I never got a game. Shift work actually threw me off balance, and I never got into it.
Yeah.
But I played with the police team, and we sort of inaugurated a national competition in Hobart back in the 80s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty good fun.
Yeah.
Although the coach of the South Australian police footy team was Graham Corns, who went on to coach the Adelaide Crows.
Oh really?
Yeah, and they beat us by I think they kicked 40 goals, we kicked 10.
Oh right, wow.
And we're probably lucky to get that 10. Gee, they were good. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Was Hobart ever close to getting a side in the AFL?
No, certainly not then.
Mm-hmm.
We were producing some top-level players going into the sides. I mean, Peter Hudson, who went to Hawthorn. I saw a great bit of graffiti in Melbourne at the Hawthorn Baptist Church. They said, "What would you do if Jesus came to Hawthorn?" And some clown, which I thought was really clever, had written down on the bottom in big, thick black texter pen, "I'd move Peter Hudson out to centre half forward."
Nice.
Yeah, that was good. But look, I think we might be closer, but I'm not really positive and enthusiastic about it because it's very expensive. And
And also
I can do it.
Yeah, also, I mean, I grew up in Central Queensland, so I was always into rugby league. We grew up playing rugby league, but I get the Aussie rules culture, and in Melbourne, there's these beautiful clubs around the place which don't get the crowds that they used to. And it must have been amazing before the AFL in Melbourne to walk down to your local team. Like that would have been really good for community, and I guess Hobart probably still has that with its local footy comp.
Yeah, although a lot of spectators have stayed away. It's diminished. Yeah, it's a real shame. There's not the same level of support, but it's a wonderful cultural thing especially in the country footy, where you can drive your car right up to the edge of the oval.
Yeah.
And watch the game, eat a meat pie, drink a Coke.
Yeah.
Don't tell Cristiano Ronaldo that I said that.
Yeah.
And you could blow the horn when they kicked a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a cultural thing. And then you go and get a sav at half time. Dad would go and get a beer.
Yeah.
And pardon me. And then you'd have your kick of the footy after you've had your sav at half time, and then another kick of the footy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Wonderful cultural thing in the country.
That's the same in Central
Queensland.
Queensland.
Right around Australia they do that.
Yeah.
But it's gone. A lot of it's gone. A lot of it's faded. A lot of small towns. For example, I was on the west coast back in the early 90s, and I actually played for the Zeehan Bulldogs seconds at age I was nearly 40, 36.
Mm-hmm.
And a great season. We had a lot of fun. Very wet.
Yeah.
But we made the grand final that year, and we played on the gravel down at Queenstown, which is really a very coarse silica sand.
Right, because it gets so wet.
Yeah, but I remember bouncing the ball, pouring rain on the day, and then kicking a drop kick. And it went about 25 or 30 metres and straight through the goal.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a funny day. It was a day of mixed emotions because one of the locals, or three locals in a fishing boat had been smashed by a huge wave off Granville Harbour. It was very sad. So we had a very highly mixed emotional week. The vessel Renown went down. Very sad. Huge search operation.
Yeah, wow. So you got in. So you joined the police force, and then you got into search and rescue.
Not straight away, although I went back to Burnie, and even on that night, I'll never forget it. Tuesday, 4th of April 1972, my parents' wedding anniversary. I was heading back to Burnie and came to up the Midlands there at Tunbridge, and there'd been a head-on crash. A young girl was killed in the car, and another young girl was with her, and I knew them from Burnie High School. And when I helped the local police officer to direct traffic, gave me a yellow coat and a torch, and said, "Can you direct traffic around this for me down the southern end?" So I thought to myself that was a fairly significant sort of baptism into the job, as it were. I hadn't even officially started, and it was the next day in traffic at Burnie.
It must be really tough for emergency service workers who work in country, and they know a lot of people in the communities.
Yeah.
like directly.
Yeah, and that happened on the west coast when I was there.
Yeah.
We had 8 fatalities in the first 6 months we were at Zingan. And I always paid tribute to my wife Catherine, especially because she wasn't a trained police officer, but the way that she tended to the people in that town who came to the police station for assistance. We lived in the house right behind her with our 4 girls, and the people came through there after a lot of these really sad incidents that we had, and I don't know how many cups of tea and coffee she made, and a couple of other friends that we made there did some muffins, and people got looked after. Sometimes people wouldn't say anything, they'd just come and sit there and be very quiet, and then they'd say thanks for listening and go again. It was unbelievable. So yeah, little Catherine did an amazing job there, looking after 4 young daughters, and gee.
And you told me a story on the way up about a gentleman who you'd actually rescued who'd gone hiking. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Would you mind telling that one again?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
He was a chap, and he's probably mid to late 30s, I think, and it would have been going back into the mid 80s. He was cross-country skiing the Langlaughing on the great big long skis. Came to grief, broke both his arms and one of his legs in a terrible way. And we got this call that he was overdue, so goodness knows how long he'd had in that situation. Out in a blizzard off Mount Field.
So you had a stretch of 20 kilometres or more to search, or was it?
Would have been about 10 to 12 kilometres, but you can imagine the ground. We had to go someone ahead finding the track because it was all covered in snow and a raging, blowing wind blizzard. Yeah, that was a pretty epic day. But look, we found this bloke, and he managed to crawl into a little hut on the K Cole. How he did it with 2 broken arms and a broken leg's beyond me, but he did. And we were able to give him some warm sustenance to just to warm up his core temperature, because must have been there for ages.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the exact time, but it was certainly a long time.
Can you remember how you felt when you discovered him?
Oh,
it must have felt incredible.
It was a huge elation. Feel a little bit like getting in a Tesla performance vehicle, starting from 0 and getting to 100. That adrenaline surge, but at the same time a palpable relief. If you can imagine, if you can picture that.
Yeah, because you would have had when you went into that hut, you would have been like, it's a long shot, but he might be in here.
Yeah, we wanted to check the hut first, because miracles, I think, still happen, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots of other search and rescue stories where I can tell you some incredible things about what we did, what we were able to do, and the lives we were able to save because we got to people in time.
And it must be a incredible bonding experience with other emergency service workers who are out there risking their lives as well. When you're facing adversity and people show bravery, and you're in a team, it's really. I'm sure a lot of people in the Defence Force experience this as well. It must really bond you together with the people that you work with.
Yeah, look, it does, and I don't know. The word camaraderie springs to mind, but it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
When you've been able to get someone and bring them back and see them survive. I'm lost for words in a way, because some of the experiences that we had in helping people were nothing short of remarkable. They were just so incredible to think that we could be out doing something like this and helping people. And that's one of the reasons that I said I spoke to that senior inspector in Burnie, and he said he'd joined to help people, and I felt over years of doing the same that he was spot on all those years before.
Did you see people that you were working with change in those moments? Like, when they had to do something extraordinary, did people like step up into leadership roles and whatnot?
I saw a lot of that. In fact, people have asked me that question many a time, and I said, and just as I was able to reassure a lot of families whose gorgeous daughters had got into the job and all of a sudden carried this huge, powerful gun.
Yeah.
So to reassure them, I said, here's what happens. I said, we take them through the training process. I said, it's rigorous, to say the least. And I said, it's very, very definite and strong, and it's very important that people get it. So that, you don't pull your firearm out and then ask questions later.
Yep.
You'll clear that way.
You clear this way, yeah.
So yes, I've seen people change. I've seen them step up. And they go into kind of an automatic mode, which is based on their training and any other experience they've had. And it's remarkable to see that process. You see them go into automatic role, and you know that these young men and women of what I say is great calibre in our emergency services, our first responders, they're scrolling through their mind, looking at all the different ways, aspects of their training as they're driving to a job. Sometimes you can't picture the scene, but when you do, you go through the oh shit phase.
Yeah.
And police officers will tell you that from all over the world. I spoke to some in Northern Ireland once, and Southern Ireland, a bunch of characters, but they talk the same sort of process. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah.
But a good hearing it from other people with their own little sort of language nuances and local character specialities. I enjoy that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Because I guess your training prepares you, but then every situation would be completely different. And then you would also, each time you're in one of those situations, you're learning for the next one as well.
Yeah.
You're going back on remembering that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how you still go through the automatic mode, but it just becomes that little bit more definitive each time. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you pick up the confidence, you pick up the experience, which gives you the confidence, and you can tune up to be an even better person. Apart from the initial training that police officers go through, for example, there are a lot of in-service type training opportunities as well.
Yeah.
I remember one bloke who used to only go and do those in October because he'd get the show day holiday during the week. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah, well.
I think they heard him say it.
Right. I wanted to also ask about the story. You were actually involved in looking after quite a few Kosovo refugees.
Oh yes, that was in May '99. Look, that was a wonderful experience. And I was the police team leader out there for Taspol.
And that was over 1,000, was it? Yeah.
Gee, would have been close, I reckon.
Yeah.
Just trying to think. I can't remember the exact number, but they're certainly in the initial stages, and I was only there for the month of May, and they came in on the 10th or 9th of May, somewhere there, and I was only there till the end of the month, and then they changed things around a bit. But by that stage, we'd set it up and helped them to settle in.
Yeah.
Fascinating, totally fascinating. I went out there, I selected a team as per instructions from my supervisor, and he came back to me and said, no, none of them are available. So I ended up with a Vietnam veteran, a lovely, gentle former nurse, and another police officer who was a former US Marine.
Yeah.
And a fourth person came a little bit later. But I couldn't have had a better team of people.
Yeah.
They were the ones who, whose experience in the past and whose character set them up for a wonderful connection with the Kosovan people.
And you actually learnt language as well.
I tried to learn a sprinkling of it, and when I called one of the, we called them the tribal elders, the blokes, the sort of the leadership team from the Kosovan group. When I called his wife a blue pumpkin, I thought I'd better either tune myself up and do it properly or give up.
A blue pumpkin.
I called her a blue pumpkin,
Oh, right.
which thankfully caused much mirth.
Okay.
They laughed and laughed and laughed. Here comes, they called me, they heard that my nickname was Macka, and they said, here come Macka. They said it like that. And the kids, we were told, briefed up by Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, that we couldn't approach the women or the children. It wasn't proper protocol, and we had to approach them through men. and one of the young girls out there and a young bloke took the initiative and set up a radio station where they broadcast right through to every room at the old Brighton Army camp, about 30 k's north of Hobart. And she said to me, she said, Mr. John, can I interview you this evening? Yes, that'd be fine, I'll be here. Off we went. And she said, Mr. John, we must ask you in the interview, she said, why don't the police talk to our women and children? Oh, I said to her, that's a sticky question. We were, in the briefing, we were
Told not to.
advised not to because it wasn't proper protocol. And she muttered something in the Macedonian language to her colleague, nodded and came back with a wicked grin on her face and a equally wicked twinkle in her eye. And she said, Mr. Johns, we're thinking that is, how you say in Australia, bullshits.
Oh, right.
Brought the house down. Because
They actually got the terminology right.
They had to translate that for him, because, and she said, no, you don't worry about that. We want you to encourage our children, and we want you to encourage the women. They have seen some terrible things.
Yeah. So where did that information come from for the police force? From the men, I guess?
Oh, no, we got briefing by Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade from Canberra.
Yeah, right.
And look, due respects to those people, they got it wrong. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But they felt they had to do that because that was the information they had at the time.
Yeah.
But I think Tassie's a wonderfully unique place. We've had a lot of different ethnic groups come over here. We've had people after the Second World War displaced from all over Europe come here, and a lot of them worked on the big Snowy River dams, and a lot of the dams we had here in Tassie, they worked with the hydro.
Yeah.
Whole villages were occupied by people from Latvia right through to Hungary.
Yeah, wow.
You know, and it was fascinating meeting some of those people over the years. So added a cultural sort of enrichment to our little state here. So little Tassie, little heart-shaped Tassie, you know, you see it on the map, they're little heart-shaped with the corners of the far west and far east reaching up. And I think that's a wonderful symbol, if you like, of the way that Tassie's been welcoming people like the Kosovans, like the Hmong people from the highlands of Vietnam and Cambodia, like we had a large group come from Chile, the South American political refugees. We've had them from Fiji, the Indian political refugees. We've had people from all over the place.
Yeah. So Tassie has a strong record of helping and supporting refugees, really.
Yeah, it has. It certainly has.
Yeah.
More recently, the huge Afghan contingent came out from the group in the north, and is basically Islam, but they were persecuted by a couple of the other branches of Islam, which is it's all very sad. But the point is that Tassie has been a wonderful place of welcome and safety and peace and refuge and rest and recovery.
Yeah.
You know, once these people had some decent food, the Kosovan people, they started asking for the dentists and the hairdressers and other health professionals, because a lot of them had been living in squalor for 18 months, 2 years in dreadful camps in freezing and squalid conditions for a couple of years before they came here.
Yeah.
So once again, Tassie helped to get these people back on their feet. Many of them wanted to stay, that's what they thought, to get away from the conflict, but when that resolved itself, a lot of them wanted to go home and rebuild. Yeah. I'd love to go and have a look. I'd love to go and see some of the people.
Oh, that'd be incredible, wouldn't it?
Little 6-year-old boy, he and I just connected. Our eyes met at the airport on his arrival. Yeah. And he wanted to go and stand with the police.
So he'd be 27 now, 28?
Yeah, this is 99, so he'd be close, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So what would you say to him now if you saw him? Would you tell him?
I'd say, mate, can you still kick with left and right?
Oh, really?
We gave that kid an Aussie rules football. Yeah. And he could kick it, the drop punt, as accurate as you like.
Ambidextrous.
It was just deadly.
Yeah, wow.
Great to watch. Great experience. And his name was Besmi. I'd love to see him again. It'd be great. And all his family. They were a lovely bunch of people.
Yeah, wow.
You feel sad with conflict like that, but it was one of my major experiences in the job, just to see it firsthand and just to be with those people. Gee, it was incredible.
And how long were you involved in that for?
Oh, just the month of May.
Yep.
I got pulled out of it after that, and some other people came, other police officers came, took over. They sort of scaled the operation down a bit.
Yep. Yeah, wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty incredible. Yeah. I was involved in the Tasman Bridge disaster the day after that happened in 1975. That was in January 5th, a Sunday night, drizzly, cold for a summer. And a ship hit the bridge. The ship's still under the bridge. They didn't know.
Really? Where's this? I don't think I've heard this story.
It's, the Tasman Bridge, just linking Hobart City with the Eastern Shore,
Right.
got hit by a bulk iron ore carrier, the Lake Illawarra, which is still underneath.
Wow.
Yeah, really interesting. You'll see a diorama at the Tasmanian Maritime Museum in Argyle Street over in the city. Fascinating. That's what I can say. Fascinating. They've built a little model, a diorama, and it shows the location of the vessel still under there. And
So what was that? You got called out for that?
well, I'd started search and rescue in August '73, so we were involved in assisting the divers they'd attach the cables onto the cars that they could recover down underneath the span that came off.
Yep.
And they'd bring them back to the surface of the River Derwent, and we'd have to go through a process of recovering.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a sad one too. It cut off Hobart for a couple of years, and it wasn't reopened until October '77. So
Wow.
in the meantime, later in '75, the USS Enterprise aircraft carrier came in, and someone said, "I'll just go and jam it in the gap, see if we can just create a kind of a bridge until the
Almost like what
underwater
happened with the Evergreen in the Suez Canal recently.
Yeah,
That
wasn't
getting jammed,
that a
yeah.
story?
Yeah.
Gee, that was a freaky business.
Shows you how delicate the global free trade is, doesn't it?
Now those blokes have deserted their post.
Have they?
Deserted their post.
Oh,
Shut the gate.
okay.
Did you still want to end up in the paddock with you?
Up to you. We could pull in here, finish up here if you like.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we'll steer into the paddock for them.
yeah,
In fact, I don't think Tim's even here. They've probably taken that trailer up to Rob's place already.
Macca's brother was chopping wood there when we left, but it looks like they've finished up for the day. So, Macka, I just want to say thank you for driving this electric vehicle today.
It's pretty unreal. That's all I can say.
It's been amazing to listen to your stories, and yeah, you seem like you enjoyed the ride. So yeah,
Yes, I did.
thanks very much.
Did my nose point any further into the wind on that occasion?
Not really, but it was good to see you were very confident with it straight up, and yeah, you could tell that you're a car person from the way you drove.
Well,
it, so.
I just enjoy it. I think of starting off in the police, the HQ Holdens hadn't even arrived. They were sort of the new, updated version fitted with seatbelts. 72, they came out.
There you go. So you come a long way.
Come a long way
since then. Yeah.
A long way.
Yeah.
This is marvellous. In a word, it's like, well, I've never driven anything like it before. It's clean. It's fresh.
Intuitive.
It's comfortable. I use that word intuitive because, well, 2 stalks on here and a couple of buttons on there. What else do you really need?
Yeah.
You know?
That's
You don't need a tacho like we had on our EHs and all those things in the old early days.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Gee, that's funny looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Dan. This has been an amazing experience. I commend you on your incredible fascination and interest with doing things like this.
Yeah.
It's something that I've always wanted to do, perhaps not with a tester, I never thought of that, but I've always, from my police experience in interviewing people, and you know, I wasn't the world's best, but I learned a few things, and I'd love to be able to interview people and hear their stories too. It's a fascinating thing to look at.
Yeah, well, this is all happening kind of organically, the chat with the channel, and the last few weeks I've been doing these longer interviews, and really the goal with this project is to take this vehicle around the country and go to regional towns, especially focus on regional Australia, and start having conversations about what kind of future we want to build for this country. And electric vehicles, there's just so many benefits to them, and if we can have fun along the way and meet people and generate conversation, then that's successful mission for me at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I'll have to get onto YouTube and find your channel, because some of the characters around Australia that I've met, just in the tenting in the little old Subi over there.
Well, I'm here for another 3 weeks, and I'm sure you know a few other characters around the place. So if you think of anyone, just let me know, and I'll take them for a spin.
All right, that'd be great.
Awesome.
I've got a mate coming here for evening meal, and he's had a whole lot of Camry hybrids.
Oh, yeah.
And he's onto a RAV4 hybrid now. He goes into the country a lot, so he wanted the hybrid sort of backup.
Yeah.
In case he had to.
Well, we can take it out and race it with this thing.
I think he'd be a good character to start with. But I know some good people.
Yeah.
Who'd enjoy this and probably jump on the opportunity to.
Fantastic.
Yeah, to share with you. Yeah.
Thanks again,
mate.
Macka.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's been a totally Richard III type sort of Bosworth left field situation today. Didn't expect to do this, and. I've had a wonderful afternoon.
Excellent. Great to hear.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Yeah, good.
Oh, that was great, mate. That was awesome.
Oh, I hope it was all right for you. Do you want a coffee?